Kaiser Henry Baum und ich bin ein Bavarian. I want to welcome you all today to the rededication of the Krauss-Maffei locomotive, the SP-9010. It's been an 11-year labor of love for the Pacific Locomotive Association, and specifically for a group of dedicated volunteers who have spent their lives with one thought in mind, that's having this locomotive be all that it could be. When we first started this project, our intention was to do a cosmetic restoration, and we have accomplished that, right? But we've gone beyond that as well. And while the locomotive isn't going to be running under its own power today, it's not because it can't, it's because it shouldn't, right? We discovered some issues with the engine, and we decided that it would be better to fix it before we wreck it. So we're not going to run the engine until it's been repaired. A little bit of a disappointment, but still far beyond what we ever expected to do with this project. I'd like to bring a few people up here. First, the one running away, Howard Wise. Howard Wise is the project leader on this, but I also want to bring up Bill Stinnerman. Dennis Mann, where did he disappear to? He's standing back there. Jerry Feeney, Rob Fern. Rob Fern came all the way from England. He's our Maybach Meister. And so these are the basic group of people who've been working on this project since it began. There's been hundreds of other volunteers, but this really is the core group. Bill has done all the machining of the parts that didn't exist. And Howard has been, just cheerleading this effort from the beginning. Howard's never cheerful, so, but he cheerleads anyway. But this has been just a fantastic opportunity for the railroad. It has given us worldwide attention, and far beyond anything we ever expected or desired. So we really want today to celebrate all their efforts, all their work, right, and really show the world what the Pacific Locomotive Association is capable of doing, and the things we do and love. So once again, round of applause for our volunteers. When this locomotive was first built in Munich, right, we have today Nadine Stillman, who her family was sent over to Munich by the Southern Pacific Railroad, and so she spent her teenage years in Bavaria. 4 months is your teenage years. Grow up faster. But, she's brought some materials that we're going to set up in the commissary car for you to look at, some historical documents, some family photos and things. As part of our rededication, I've also asked Nadine if she would be willing to help us by doing the christening ceremony. Drinking a bottle of champagne over the coupler, right? Luckily, none of the ship mists or anything apply here. If it doesn't break on the first time, bad things are not going to happen. You just never know how tough that bottle is going to be. So, we'll give that a shot. But even before we do that, I did want to ask Scott Inman to come up and say a few words. Scott is president of the Southern Pacific Historical and Technical Society, and he's here to talk about this locomotive.
Thank you. I'll try and speak with my teacher's voice this morning. But good morning, and let me begin by thanking Mr. Baum and the dedicated volunteers here of the Pacific Locomotive Association and the Niles Canyon Railway for inviting me to say a few words today. It's a humble privilege to serve as an ambassador for the preservation of Southern Pacific equipment, artifacts, and ephemera. Now you see, I was a fairly new and young docent at the California State Railroad Museum in 2006, when a handful of volunteers and paid staff members examined a forlorn and neglected former locomotive that at that time we simply called the camera car. SP had used the car body and frame of this machine as a tool for recording simulator training films before being donated to our museum in Sacramento. And at that time, I could not even quote the engine's delivered road number as SP 9010, or tell you the more remarkable story of its survival. What we saw was collection tarnish, and perhaps something that resembled a recently submerged hull. The decision we recommended was for the museum to offer America's only surviving Krauss-Maffei to another entity, knowing full well it may be likely traded in for salvage or for another more practical artifact. Some time went by when I heard a rumor of a 16-year-old member of the Pacific Locomotive Association named Charles Franz, who petitioned the organization to save the Krauss-Maffei, even if only for the significance of telling its story or giving it a presentable cosmetic restoration. Then began what ultimately became a worldwide effort to initiate and energize and campaign for the restoration of an artifact that was believed to be analogous to the difficulty of putting a man on the moon. Rather fitting for today's 50th anniversary of that very achievement. And in the worldwide scope of internal combustion restoration, it's a worthy comparison to the revival of chassis 19106 that we know and love as SP 9010. What we had to begin with was one railfan publication in a series of books on Southern Pacific historic diesels. And Mr. Joe Straypack is here today to see his efforts to promote the history of Southern Pacific's diesel hydraulic experiment come full circle. So who would be best suited to lead this project began without any available blueprints, electrical diagrams, or even a domestic manufacturer to lean on. Well, no story of this German import would be complete without credit to a man who's admired in the community of rail preservation beyond the level that his humble nature will admit. He's challenged odds and overcome obstacles and re-engineered this machine to breathe life once again. There's no doubt that a natural-born leader to take on this unprecedented restoration. We're grateful today to recognize the accomplishments of Crew Chief Mr. Howard Wise. It was almost as if this locomotive and project attracted supporters on its own as each piece of newly fabricated steel was installed, cab interior work completed, or a piece that was salvaged from scrap decades before arrived to be reinstalled. It was not long before some of Krauss-Maffei München's former employees heard the news around the globe. And through the public relations outreach and social media campaign led by author and supporter Bob Zink, the word began to spread around the globe. Correspondence and documentation and first-hand accounts relating to the saga of Southern Pacific's higher horsepower playbook began to emerge from Germany, courtesy of Mr. Richard Ode, son of lead project engineer for Krauss-Maffei's ML4000cc locomotive development. Without the support of Richard and the international support of Mr. Rob Fern of the United Kingdom, we may never have learned that a set of original trucks for this engine existed in France, complete with necessary gearboxes long discarded from 1910. A custom-built ballast regulator existed on a scrap line, almost as if fate had it to wait for its trucks to be reunited with this restoration campaign before the torch was taken to it. Through the efforts of a multi-organizational fundraising and international delegation, the last usable trucks and gearboxes came home to America in 2014. This was the game changer that led Howard to believe 9010 could one day be restored and operate with its own power. New card shafts were built, acquired, and installed, all the while rust removal and cosmetic painting was being simultaneously completed in phases. Now today represents a legacy of 11 years of determination, learning, synergy, and most importantly, historic preservation. The work displayed here today will benefit all who learn about this German-American immigrant who survived against all odds time and time again. 9010 is a machine that possesses an almost human-like desire to live. Everyone here today and the entire community of railroad preservation and even legacy companies of Krauss-Maffei are better as a result of your hard work, dedication, and personal spirit. It's quite amazing to think that just a few miles from the spot where 9010 almost met its fate in Sacramento, successor company Siemens is today building new engines. Proud that my hometown of Sacramento has a rich legacy of locomotive development and construction that has now reached a 150-year milestone itself. This just goes to prove SP 9010 has a greater story to tell, and one that will benefit future generations who learn of this remarkable story. So please accept my heartfelt congratulations on this achievement, and thank you very much.
I'd like to ask Howard, Nadine, and Scott if you'd like to join us up here. We're going to recommission the locomotive.
Thank you.